and welcome to Decoding the Digital Lab with CSols, the podcast that addresses current events and offers insights. I'm your host, Becky Stewart, and in this series, we're exploring new ideas and advancements in the lab. In today's episode, we'll discuss some emerging use cases for AI in life sciences. Joining me is my fellow Delawarean, Patrick Callahan.
Hey, Becky.
We're going to reference a number of publications and initiatives. We'll place those links in the description on YouTube and on the episode homepage. Patrick is a leader operating at the critical intersection of technology, AI, and life sciences. He began his career in technology at Accenture before leveraging that foundation to build several successful companies across technology, human interface design, and finally, data science and AI. This journey culminated in the acquisition of his last company by a global lab software firm. Today, Patrick is the founder of E03, an AI company dedicated to providing a platform that integrates AI into the scientific workforce. Crucially, Patrick holds a law degree and is a vital member of the state of Delaware's AI Commission, where he played a key role in developing the nation's first regulatory sandbox, specifically focused on agentic AI in high-stakes environments. With his unique expertise spanning the commercial application of AI, the logistical challenge of data traceability in personalized medicine, and the regulatory framework for autonomous lab systems, Patrick is perfectly positioned to discuss how this industry is pioneering the effort to accelerate the next generation of biopharmaceutical manufacturing. Thanks for being here, Patrick.
Thanks, Becky. It'll be fun.
All right, let's dig in. You've written about the need to bridge the gap between groundbreaking discoveries and their delivery to patients. How do you see the integration of AI within LIMS environments specifically, helping to accelerate the transition from batch sampling to real-time sampling in biopharmaceutical manufacturing?
Thank you. Yeah, it's fascinating, right? We're at a critical, interesting period of time, both in healthcare and medicine, biopharmaceuticals, and in AI. And it's if you look past like at the last, I guess, 10 years, whatever, all the money's been going into research and discovery. So the R&D component of building new bio and the technology that's been put into that has just been amazing. We're seeing fascinating things come from DeepMind to all kinds of new discoveries on the R&D. It's been very, very important, the thousands of discoveries that are like in the pipeline right now of potential impact. But now we're at the point where we've got to get that through, and now the quality systems matter. I think we're at the very beginning stage of seeing that impact actually happen, and it's almost like a year ago, I was going through some biopharma facilities in Ireland, and I saw where when you walk through these things, and probably many of your listeners know about this, it's incredible. It looks like you're in the 2030s, right? It looks like you're in a different century, and they've got manufacturing arms and all that other kind of stuff going through it. But on the LIMS side of things, they still have paper processes, paper batch processes. So when it comes to biopharmaceutical, that doesn't, like, you're always looking after the fact. So when it comes through like a batch that goes through, you're like, okay, if you're using the traditional methods, you're looking at something that came through after the fact. Where some of the new technologies and the AI is developing to look at quality as a whole in real time is actually the exciting stuff that's actually coming into the market now. And it's critical because at that point you can then start to see it make changes potentially. That's the capabilities we have right now to make changes while we're in the process to actually affect the product, and it's actually vital to it. So that's what I'm seeing. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. I guess all that backlog of potential targets is where the quality is stepping into that. So
right, and it's actually like what's also interesting about it is that this is a time period when that backlog is coming through, that new innovations happen and new discoveries can possibly happen as well. So I think it's critical right now that the LIMS systems, the quality systems, start to change so that they actually bring AI into the space because a human can't take care of this. And so we're not going to get those things through until we actually can have new system thinking within these processes.
And that kind of brings us to the use of synthetic control arms, where AI generated digital twins replace placebo groups in trials, which
Yeah,
could radically shorten drug development timelines.
yeah.
What do you see as the biggest technical barrier to widespread regulatory acceptance of these synthetic data sets? Is it a matter of data quality or the inherent black box nature of the models themselves?
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Becky, at the end there. So it's the modeling process itself. Like regulators, they need to see transparency. They need to have something auditable. So they need to check on bias check pipelines and then not just a black box. And so I think, from basically the reading I'm seeing, the regulators aren't concerned as much about the variability in the data, but they want to know what actually went into the models and what it went into creating that synthetic data set. Um, but like you pointed out too in the beginning, this is critical to expediting the tens of billions of dollars that go into that 10-year process of doing things like the clinical trials and each phase of the clinical trials. If we can build the synthetic control arms with synthetic data sets to actually work on this, we can expedite that in real time. It would be amazing.
It kind of made me wonder, though, about how you would validate a process like that, because if you're making changes to the manufacturing process while it's being manufactured, and you might not know what that fix is going to be, how do you validate that? That's a
Well, I think it's a great question. I think that the world's trying to figure this out right now, but it's critical that in that process that you just mentioned, that the data of the output is recorded at every single decision point or in every prediction that went in and how it came up with that prediction to make that change. It's logged in some form or another. So it's almost like not logging the after the world, after it's been the biopharm has been manufactured, but it's like that every data point gets captured, which is a really, really tough thing to do, but it's doable in the new technologies and the new constructs that we have.
all right. You've spoken about the quadrilateral approach to bridging the gap between discovery and the patient. In personalized medicine, we're essentially moving from manufacturing millions of identical doses to a batch of one. From your perspective, how does AI-enabled LIMS help solve the traceability crisis, ensuring that a patient's unique genomic data, real-time bioreactor telemetry, and final drug product remain perfectly synchronized in a way that satisfies both the FDA and the speed required for clinical care?
Yeah, and I almost think we're not there yet, but we're getting there. And so when we talk about the different points that are needed, it's the genetics, the omics of the patient data themselves, the process parameters that went in, and then the data about the actually output of the whole thing. If we can envision a day when it's the patient of one, that we are looking at a box sitting next to a hospital bed that's giving the biopharma to the patient. Um, what are all the things that need to go into that, right? And so that's the vision that we want to actually get to. It means that the systems of limbs can't be thought of just as limbs. They're not just samples and they're not just batches. It's people and it's a person, and then it's samples and then it's batches on top of that. It's the mindset of the actual limb systems that need to be able to support something along those lines, where it's a batch of one, I guess, is the important piece. And then the data that we talk about, the omnits, the patient data, the output data, all those elements of those things need to be captured into that one record.
Yeah.
It's a complete system change from, I look at even I was mentioning walking through those the biopharma facilities over in Ireland, and again you see the beautiful. It's almost like having a Ferrari, a modern day Ferrari with a cassette tape. And so now we need to change that to be the predictive music that is coming on, and I think I think the limb systems are starting to get there, but it's going to take a little bit more effort.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. We are seeing a shift now from assisted AI, where humans validate every output, to agentic AI, where systems proactively manage lab workflows. In your view, what is the threshold of trust required before a life sciences company can safely let an AI agent autonomously drive a closed loop experiment without real time human oversight?
Right. And I think we kind of referred to it beforehand. It's like when we can get into seeing what's behind that black box.
Hmm.
But interesting enough, like I mean, we see analogies to this in our daily life, especially in San Francisco. I was out there, and of course I'm taking the Waymos all the time, and they're not perfect. They've made mistakes, but are they better than human? And sometimes it's like a 50% chance. Are they better than human? But at some point, we have to ask ethically if they are 110% of what a human would do, or even better, is it unethical for us to actually try to start to use these things? And so I think, certainly we will always want to have traceability. As we talked about, previously, being able to capture those data points is actually going to be super important to like within the process itself. But then, I think we have to ask ourselves, is it the Waymo? Are we right at that point? We build these levels and then we see what actually can work.
All right. And now we get to talk about one of my favorite topics. Delaware's AI Sandbox is one of the first in the nation to specifically invite agentic AI experimentation in a high stakes environment like a biopharma lab, where a small error in an autonomous decision can ruin a batch. How is the state defining the safeguards that will allow companies to fail fast but safely? And are they doing it at Nimble?
Right. Well, I don't know if that's actually, so we're, it's not, I don't know if it's actually reached Nimble, but I'm glad that they're in our backyard.
Hmm.
For those of you who don't know, Nimble is the National Institute for Innovation, Manufacturing, and Biologics. I think I got it right. It's a mouthful, but it's right here at the center in Delaware. Just step back on the whole reason why we have these sandboxes or these legislative sandboxes. Is it that when there's legislation that's prohibiting innovations to occur, they so a lot of us think of a sandbox as a technical environment, but this is a legislative one. But it allows a board to oversee different processes while releasing some of the regulations that might actually occur to have the different things tested out. And so Delaware chose to do it this way to enable legislation. Certainly, it's on the Delaware level, so it's not on a federal level, but that allows us, maybe we use patient data more easily. This has not been played out, but we're in the process of setting it up right now. And the focus that's been kind of interesting is ours has been on the agentic AI rather than just AI broadly, because and as we've seen probably in the last few weeks, with all this new ways that agentic AI has kind of taken off, that its agents actually act, they do things. They're not just a informational piece.
Have you
And
looked
so
at
it's
Moltbook yet?
Yes, I have. And actually, all weekend I was getting texts from all around the country and some of the things I'm involved with saying, like, are you seeing the direction of this?
Mhm.
And so for those of you who don't know about Maltbook, basically agents were put on a computer, and you probably, if you're seeing this in the future, you'll this podcast in the future, you'll see this kind of like, oh, that's a historical thing. But it's a time when an agent actually started to act, and it was given free reign of the computer and was like, able to do stuff. And so all these agents created their own Facebook and all that kind of stuff. The important piece to this is not necessarily this point in time, but the trajectory as to where that's actually going. So I could very much see a day when an agent is operating a lab autonomously. So the question becomes like, do we have the security measures? Do we have everything else like that? And you can't practice this in a non-real environment in some cases. You can create synthetic data, but you also have to have, in a regulatory environment, people watching over these things to make sure they're not going off the rails.
That's actually a really interesting idea, because that might make it easier to set up a lab like on the moon, where it's cold already.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. And there's a few of us. It's kind of interesting. We're working on these fully autonomous manufacturing biopharma units that you could drop in anywhere.
Mhm.
And so we're making some great headway with this and ideas because the technology is there. the physical technology is there as well. And so we are putting these things together and starting to see what we can come up with. But crazy enough, there are some startups out of DC and in San Francisco that I've spoken with that are actually looking into this in a strong way.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Patrick. As our expert guest today, what's one key tip or piece of advice you'd offer our listeners who are looking to be excellent at finding their own use case for AI in the lab?
Yeah, it starts with the stuff you know. What I like to do sometimes, and we've taken some of our clients through this process, is you understand transcribing. There's tools like Microsoft Teams or Granola is one of my favorite, where you just have this discussion with it and you say, and you transcribe everything and you go through your workflow. Today I did this, 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 and this. Take that transcription and you start talking with some of the very, very smart LLMs that are out there, Claude or OpenAI or ChatGPT, and you say where you can have it kind of brainstorm with you and say like, where are my opportunities to interject AI into this process? And you can do it with a very simple thing like going to the grocery store or checking out a book to here's the biopharma process. Where can we interject AI? And the important piece of this is not to look at AI specific tools, but where in the process of your workflow does it make sense?
Okay.
And the next question after that is to then say like, where's the world going? Like, where's the future going? And what do I need to be designing for? So it's an iterative process. It's a tactical thing of just taking your transcript, putting it into these things, and brainstorming with the big models that are out there. You'd be surprised what you learn.
Yeah. All right. That's all the time we have for today's episode of Decoding the Digital Lab with CSols. Join us next time and hit the follow button if you're enjoying this content. We also have a newsletter that highlights current events on a weekly basis, which is free to sign up for. You can find the link in the episode bio on Spotify and YouTube.